All right, so
I have to give you a little bit of credit for this.
yeah, we can overdub it later. Just
Haven't had any crazy stories about. Oh wait, no, I do. I got robbed at gunpoint, mugged.
Checking for me, but I ain't checking for them. No.
sleazy real estate guys. But
All right, so welcome to another EP podcast. And hey, if you're out there and you've seen a couple of these and you haven't already, definitely remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell because we got some hot stuff coming in this new year. It's going to be a blast, and we're fired up for it. Now, obviously, we've noticed things are a little bit different here right now. Something's different. Well, something is different. We got an awesome guest here today. Second time. What am I saying? Second, third, fourth, fifth, 15th time on the podcast, but this time, second time as a guest. Shout out my own man, Emilio Pastor.
how you doing? Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Yeah. So today, it's a fun day
setup
today.
you have here.
Yeah. Well, no, thank you. I did it all myself. Thank you. Yeah. This is that actually stands for me.
Yeah, I thought it was dyslexic. So there you go.
Yeah. So today's kind of a fun one. We had to change the schedule a little bit on it, and that's okay because I heard you were doing some traveling.
A little bit.
Mr. Worldwide over here, 305. Walk me through that. You just got back a couple hours ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just landed fresh out of Fort Lauderdale. Wow. We were just at the PVD Podcast Live.
Nice.
He was hosting Candace Owens and Chris Cuomo along with the home team. Great banter. It was about 3 hours long. They touched on the state of address, the Union of State of Address. They touched on all things like the border, politics, all things relevant that's going on right now. Great experience being around that and just being around people that had that similar interest.
Okay.
So it was a great time. Thank you, PBD.
So you went down. Were you on the podcast? Were you in it?
I was just a viewer.
Okay.
I was just a viewer. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But it's a different thing. You know, I've been watching PBD since Valuetainment 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And then he started PBD podcast in Texas. And I remember episode 1 and what it's come down to since he moved to Florida.
Okay.
And he just so happened to announce a live show on exactly my birthday, which is today. So I figured, the stars align. So when opportunity calls, you answer. So I booked my buddy Arthur and I booked a plane ticket to Florida. We went to watch the show, and yeah, it was a great time. Got to meet a few of the guys. It's pretty cool.
Okay. So happy birthday, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Shout out in the comments. Give him the HPD, all right?
Yeah.
So you went down to Florida for what? The podcast? Flew down in the morning, came back the same day?
Yeah, so this is how I went down. So Thursday, get up at 3 in the morning. At the airport by 3:30-ish. On the plane by 4:30 a.m. By 7 a.m., we are in Fort Lauderdale. 7:30 a.m., we're pretty early. Thankfully, shout out to La Quinta Hotel over in Pompano. Is that how you say it? Pompano?
Pompano Beach.
Yeah, Pompano Beach. They were kind enough to let us check in extremely early. Their check-in time is typically 3 p.m., but they let us in around 8 a.m. So we got to double up on the breakfast. Thank you so much for that. And yeah, we were about 8-minute walking distance from Valuetainment. So 5990, shout out to them. And yeah, so we did that on Thursday. We spent most of the day just working on things with the podcast, EPEX, and just working. It was a Thursday, so it was a regular business day. And then we had a night. We tried to go out a little bit. Funny story with that. We got work done around 11:30 at night Thursday because the State of Union address went a little late. We were watching that. It was good stuff. I tried to look for a bar to go to nearby, and when we went there, I thought it looked pretty cool, especially because when I walked in, they were playing Bad Bunny, and typically that's a good sign. That's an exciting sign. So I get excited every time I walk in somewhere and Bad Bunny's playing.
Bad Bunny's playing, it's a hit. Okay.
Yeah. And I sit down. I sit down, and I sit with Arthur, try to wait for it to get a drink, and it turns out it was actually almost like a drug infused drink. Yeah, it wasn't no alcohol. It wasn't no alcohol. Arthur, what was it exactly? Cabo? Kava or what? Kratom, which is what in the opioid family. Okay, very similar to the opioid family. So, definitely interesting experience. And after that, we went to a speakeasy bar 0.2 miles away.
Okay.
Had another drink, had a good time there, and then went back to the hotel. It was around 2 a.m. 2 a.m. by the time we went to sleep. Woke up at 7 a.m., went for a run, got back to the hotel, showered real quick, grabbed breakfast with Arthur, and then got to Valuetainment by 8:45. By 8:45, it started at 9. That went till 12. And then we spent the time working at Panera Bread the entire afternoon. And then we went to the airport, got a little bit more work done, I think, there in the airplane. And that leads us to getting back here to Philadelphia at 8 p.m. and came back here to Delaware, set up real quick. And now we're recording your podcast here now. Yeah. So, yeah, it's been a long, however many hours that was. Yeah.
Okay, so it's been nonstop.
Yeah, it's been great.
Nonstop for the last 48 hours at this point. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're almost 72 because you said you woke up at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
right to get to the airport.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So walk us through this. So not only are you Emilio Pastor, just the haircut, the glasses, the smile. Not only are you the guy, right?
Okay.
But you also have so many things going on over and over and over. Trips, events, EPEX you're planning up for because you're going to be running events over the summer.
Yeah.
You've got the podcast you're running for, doing constant work. I know you're in the financial services industry in terms of additional revenue for that. I know you've got rental properties. I know you have investment accounts.
Yeah.
You're sitting on 6, 7, 8, streams, 9, 10, 11, whatever it is. How do you keep yourself so focused? Is it organization? Is it a drive? Is it a passion? Is it a goal, a dream? Like what keeps you so focused, so driven, where you can take a trip for 48 hours and nothing loses a beat? How do you do that?
That's a great question. A lot to unpack there. How I view it is, one, I don't really have a choice. And two, if I don't, who else will? And three, and I said this the last time I was a guest on this podcast, but last time it was Jack Sparks' podcast, that I try to think of myself like an athlete in terms of, I try to keep my body and mind in a good place, or as good as it can be, exercise as regularly as I can, meditate, journal, I use my time management spreadsheet that I use every day for the past 3 years, and it keeps me in line. I take away a lot of the emotion out of it. I'm at a place where I no longer really need motivation to do things. I just do them. There was a time and place where I needed motivation. Now it's just a matter, if I don't get it done, it comes with consequences. So that's kind of the motivation in itself, I guess.
Like a negative motivation.
Right.
Almost.
Well,
it's more of what will or will not happen based on the action that does or does not
Sure.
happen.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
You can put it that way. And it's just, I get a kick out of it. It gets me a reason to wake up in the morning, roll out of bed. And I think, when you don't have a plan, not having a plan is planning to fail. So I like to keep the ball rolling. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
And hey, if you haven't watched last year's Jack Sparks podcast, definitely, scroll down, give that a hit. That gives you an in-depth story behind Mr. Pastor here. I mean, remember, it is born in Ecuador,
Made in America. Yep.
right?
Yep.
So
Shout out PVD. Got to remember.
if you haven't heard that story for Emilio and his upbringing, I know Jack goes a lot into the background, where his desires came from, where his drive comes from. Today, we really wanted to dig more into more granular, a little more higher level conversations, more on consistency, more on your drive, more on when opportunity calls. Is it a culmination of things that are going on where opportunity knocks, or are you actively answering phones, putting ringers out there, waiting for opportunities to come to you? Or is it a matter of all of the activities you've been doing over the handful of years has led to a point where when opportunity rings because you recognize it, you have the opportunity to go to it? I'll rephrase.
No, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll let you rephrase. But yeah,
if the opportunities that are presenting themselves the last 4, 5, 6 months for you, are those representing themselves because of the work that you've done over the last 2, 3 years has put you in a mindset and a position where you're able to receive and ready to receive those? Or are you actively reaching out, and when the opportunity comes back, you're jumping on it and you're jumping on it and you're jumping on it, keeping the ball moving, like you said?
I find it that the more I prepare, the luckier I get.
Okay. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yeah, and then when opportunity knocks, if I'm not ready for it, it won't work. So I try to be as ready as I can be for when opportunity knocks. And I know this to be from Mayweather. He says, Floyd Mayweather. He says, you don't gotta get ready if you stay ready.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Does that answer your question?
That does. And actually it leads into a totally different, another question, another slightly different topic here. So just read a book called The Energy Bus by Jordan Gordon. And
The Energy Bus.
The Energy Bus.
Okay.
The Energy
another
Bus. Yeah.
It's a different kind of energy though.
Yeah. Oh. So the Energy Bus by Jordan Gordon is all about your team, your project, whatever it is, your business, your life, your marriage. Think of it as a bus. And those folks that are involved in that relationship or in that business, in that product launch, in that team are all on your bus, right? And so you are the CEO of your bus, the chief energy officer of your bus. Your goal is to keep the bus going where it needs to go, right? And so, previously we alluded, you've got the podcast, you got your properties, you got everything you've got. You've got multiple different buses within your primary bus, right? So how do you, especially for the viewers, how do you eliminate those energy vampires, those folks that are coming in your life that might have good intentions, might not have good intentions? How do you continue to keep your bus on the right track when there are people out there that are preying on your downfall?
That's a great question, and a very relevant question to where my life's been lately. I think the better you understand yourself, and the more you understand the things you're willing and not willing to put up with, it attracts the right people. It attracts the wrong people. But in due time, it keeps the right people and it gets rid of the wrong people.
Okay.
Because I think time tells all truths.
Self-cleansing. Right.
And eventually the true colors of people's intention, whether good or bad, eventually come to light. And that's just really what it is. I mean, ever since I've been a kid, what I've been really good at is just staying true to myself. Okay. I've never bent backwards to try to fit into anything or in any one circle, anything like that, because I never really gained any satisfaction in that. It just never set right with me. And I just carried that on as to my later life now. And as a result, I've had a lot of different relationships, some that I'm happy I had, some that were challenging, but, full of lessons nevertheless. But it's just the more I understood myself, the more I understood the people that were there for me and the people were there for something.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So expanding on that, of course, we don't need to give details, but when it comes to, folks don't just chime into the EP podcast because they think you're pretty. You're gorgeous. Yeah, you are. However,
jeez, I thought that's what I had going for myself. Never mind. Yeah.
When it comes to the podcast, they're tuning in to hear how different people approach the same idea, the same obstacle. You mentioned being true to yourself. So for somebody brand spanking new, they've never been into, in terms of they're thinking about getting a business, they're thinking about going into a new relationship, or maybe they're thinking about, hey, maybe I need a period of singleness. How do you stay true to yourself? How do you become who you want to become? How do you keep that going? How do you remain unfazed?
I think a lot of things that has helped me understand myself as a person is life in itself. Bad moments, good moments, troubling times, painful times, exciting times. Because I think that's when you really learn your character, specifically in the harder times. That's because in the harder times you learn who you are as a person, how much pain you're willing to put up with, whether or not you'll see the light of it at the end of the tunnel, and who's around you during those times. And that's it's things that I've never for me it's just and I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to best answer this is I just try to understand myself the best as that I can, and sometimes you just gotta trust your gut feeling.
Okay.
Yeah, and then just trust time will tell you whether you're right or wrong.
Right. And then whether you're right or wrong is either it's a learning opportunity regardless either way, because hey, either this worked or it didn't work. Right.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I found that some of my biggest growing moments have been when there's no one around, when I'm alone, right? Just because that's when I'm able to be in most tune with myself.
Okay.
And when I say alone, I don't mean just working, crossing a check, like doing a checklist or whatever the case is actually just being there. Because that's when I really get to dive into my mind. There's some people that say, you don't need to be alone to critically think about things in life. I personally do, because I need a specific environment for me to reach a certain area of thinking. So the podcasts, there, EPEX, there, and everything else in between, those are where my most growing moments has happened, is during my alone times.
And when you say alone time, is that would some scholars call that meditating, or is this you scheduling intentional time in your calendar, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, Emilio, just alone time? Because I've read and I've heard from scholars that say hey, if you live a busy life, you are ADHD, you are whatever you are, you need to schedule time, no screen time, no whatever.
Yeah.
Schedule you time so you can ultimately re-fall in love with who you think you are, right? Because everybody has a persona. Everybody, how you hear yourself, you hear it through bone conductivity. And so when you hear a recording, you're like, whoa. I sound like that. When you see a picture of yourself, take a picture of my good side, or you want to change the picture, you change the lighting, because everybody has this internal vision of who they believe they are versus how they're seen and how other folks see them as well.
Okay.
So do you take time for that, or is this a separate, planning period? Is this critical thinking separate to maybe like a meditation, as someone would call it?
So when I go about setting up my schedule, it essentially is broken down into four pillars: health, wealth, love, happiness. Shout out Ty Lopez. And what I've noticed with that, I've been practicing different variations of that since in the past 7-8 years. It's just been different versions of it. I always believe that if you practice your health, or your mental and physical health, your wealth, your financial and your education, your love through your personal and professional relationships, personal broken down into your friends, your family, and your romantic relationships, that you'll be happy as a result. But as I said, I've been practicing that for 7 years now in different ways. And what I've learned is that no matter how productive I've become and how much I've maximized my time, I'm finding that I'm not as happy as I once was.
Okay.
And I think it's because I'm not doing that. I'm not giving myself enough of that me alone time.
Okay.
In the past 7 years, from where I was in year 1 versus year 7, I had a lot of less connections. Mind you, everybody that's here right now, I've known for a long time.
Shout out the crew.
Yeah, shout out you guys. And where I am now is, I get pulled in a lot of different directions.
A lot of noise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, well, noise. Yeah, sure. You could call it that. And as a result, it takes a lot for me, right? And I realized that I haven't been dedicating enough time to myself, and as a result, it doesn't matter how much I get done, doesn't matter how much money I make, how much things I accomplish, yada yada. That if I'm not doing those internal maintenance things, I'm not even talking about exercising, then I won't feel as fulfilled. So what does that look like? That looks like me going on a walk.
Okay.
Me just sitting down and with no agenda or anything. Me going on a trip that I didn't plan and not have any itinerary, just kind of winging it. Just giving my brain that break,
Yeah.
and just kind of being kind of almost like how the monks live. No distractions, no nothing. And I think in an ideal world down the road, if I could, I wouldn't be opposed to doing something like buying a farm, and then just periodically just spending like a period of a week or whatever it is I might need, and
To
just
detach.
disconnecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just refilling my energy. Because one of the things that I learned recently, because I've been doing it a lot in the past year or two, is traveling. And I encourage everybody to travel. Like, if you don't have a motivation to make money, one of the reasons it should be is to travel. Not only because you get to meet different people, see different sceneries, and just experience a different culture in general. It's because it sparks different ideas. It brings up, it just triggers different things in the body. I recently was in Boston, and like Patrick and David, I also think it's the year of chaos, right? And not to get too political, I think a lot of the reason why it's a lot of chaos in the world today in our country is because we've lost track of our core values and guiding principles. And I just so happened to have a trip booked to Boston a month ago. Boston, a lot of U.S. history happened.
Oh yeah.
A lot of U.S. history happened. And I got to go in there to partake in that. I went to where the Boston Tea Party happened. I got to throw a box of tea,
How
up
dare
into
you.
the water on
How
the boat.
dare you?
And it's just things like that. And it's just made me think about different things.
Okay.
And I felt good. I felt good because I felt fresh. I felt like
Rejuvenated.
rejuvenated, right? It's
Yeah.
like I was new again.
Okay.
And then I came back and I was boom. Now I'm looking forward to things again.
Yeah.
Not that I wasn't to begin with, but now there's something else to pursue. It's like a new journey for me personally. If I don't have like a place I'm trying to go, or an adventure or a problem I'm trying to solve, I'm just like, what am I doing? What's my mission? What's my goal here? So yeah, long-winded answer, but I think to answer your question, one of the things I need to really start doing is dedicating more of that time to myself, because if not, the other things are just not going to be as good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if someone is, again, brand new at this, they're just trying to get their life back on track. They're trying to get to a point where they can have that energy and that excitement, if you want to call it that, towards what's coming up. That you came back from your trip from Boston and you're back in the saddle. Things are firing. You're firing all 8 cylinders. Like you're ready to go.
Yeah.
How do you initially create that jolt? You came back from a trip. So if somebody is looking to get that same experience,
Are you asking me how to turn that idea into reality?
Yeah. How
Okay.
would you do that?
First, travel alone, travel with someone.
Okay.
And when you travel with someone, talk to them about it. Talk to them, like, get that idea out of your head and talk to them about it. And with that, sometimes we have a different reaction to things when we store it in our head and when we speak it out. So talk to whoever you're traveling with about it. See what they say. See what they think. If you're traveling alone, write it down. And then once you do that, try to figure out why. Why is this, tickling your brain, for lack of better terms? Why is it moving you? And then if it's something you want to take action on, what actions do you need to take? Like, think about the end goal. What do you want out of it? Why is it, that you're doing this? For me in Boston was, seeing a lot of things that this country was, built on, a lot of the values this country was built on. And in the year of chaos that we're in right now, my reaction to it was, how do I prepare people for the chaos? How do I, create an environment where they'll be ready for when chaos happens in their lives? And then I just go from there. So whether it be health, health events, whether it might be money events, whether it might be, whatever it is, the stuff like that. Write it down. Talk to someone about it. Make it happen. But you know what? The hardest thing in anything you do And my friend, the beauty about my relationship with my friend Arthur here is that he's a very, analytic guy.
Yeah.
I'm the guy I just need just enough to just jump the gun. And that's how we maintain a balance. But the hardest thing is always taking the first step. A lot of people, they give many ideas, and the biggest mistake they do is they don't take that first step. And you'll find that once you take the first step, everything else just starts building up, like the compound effect.
Okay, great book.
Small bits, turn into a lot of bits later down the road. Just do it, dude. And honestly, if I need to tell you this freaking much just so you could freaking do something that you're interested in doing, dude, just go home. Don't even watch this. Turn this off right now. Honestly.
Bold.
Because if you're not going to do it, who the hell's going to do it? Who the hell's going to take care of you? Who the hell's going to take care of your family that's currently existing right now? Who the hell's going to take care of your family in the future? If that doesn't motivate you, then I don't know what the hell kind of motivation you need. You can listen to as many videos that tell you, oh, you need to get up. I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to have the car. I'm going to have the watches, the ladies, the money. But you're just watching that video every fucking day. And you're just doing mental masturbation and going nowhere. Just act on it. Just start doing it. And everything else will figure itself out. Learn. Don't be afraid of failure. And the other side of failure is growth. You need to fail before you succeed. And that's the thing. There's two kinds of mindset. There's the I won't fail, and then there's I failure for breakfast. And I just think that's what it is. I see a lot of things in social media today. It's like all these cliche terms, like all this, like the quick money mindset, if you don't want this as much and that, like, bro, shut up. This life is not easy. It sucks. For everybody, it's not fair. It's not fucking fair. To anyone. Quit your bitching. No one cares. You're not that important. Get over yourself. Just do it. Just start. And the people will come. And the progress will come. Whatever it is you want will come. But just start. So, does that answer your question?
Passionately. You touched on a lot of parts there. I particularly liked how you said, hey, this life sucks. A good friend of mine once said that there's no such thing as gravity. The earth just sucks. Okay.
There you go.
Okay. But you mentioned these cliches that you see on social media. And, oftentimes you hear in success books and principles, as well as if you have any kind of mentorship or coaching in your life, you'll hear that fast success grows your ego and slow success grows your character. And I believe that you've kind of touched on that. And I want to dig into those cliches because, one of the ones that's always thrown around is that, it's not what you know, it's who you know. It's okay. Yeah, I know who Donald J. Trump is, but does he know who I am? No, I would take it a step further and say it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And going back to what you said, I mean, I can know you and I can hear you telling me all these things about what you're doing and the challenges you've gone through. But if I don't take action on any of it, you're saying it's mental masturbation, to use your phrase. So can we dig into that? Can we look into that a little bit? I mean, how?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
What specifically?
So would you agree that association impacts success?
100%.
Okay.
I think the easiest path to success is just hanging around successful people. And then just to quote the quote that everybody freaking loves is, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around.
Right.
Or the what's the one you always say is, you show me your network, or like, show me the people you hang around, I'll show you your future, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, show me your coach, I'll show you your future.
Yeah, things like that. The easiest path to success is to have someone that's doing what you currently want to do. There's a 33.3% rule, right?
Okay. Which
is you split your relationships in 3 different ways. And how you want to look at and how it essentially goes, and shout out Ty Lopez again, 33.3% of your time you spend with people that are doing the things that you are doing that want to go where you want to go. 33.3% of the time you spend your time with people that are doing the things that you want to do. And 33.3% of the time you spend the time with people that want to do the things you are currently doing. Now, Emilio, why, what does that mean? Why should I structure my relationships or my strategic relationships that way? It's because 1, you get to experience a mentor. 2, you get to experience an acquaintance, a partner. And 3, you get to experience a mentee relationship, right? And that is kind of like a cycle. And as a result, you teach somebody, you compete with somebody, friendly competition, and you learn from somebody. So that's kind of how I set up my relationships. And I'm sorry, like, where were we going with this? I got caught up with my 33.3% rule.
So we agree on association. And
Yes,
we agree,
association.
and we
yes.
agree on action.
Yes. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Like, if you, like, as you said, I could know Donald Trump. That would mean shit for me, right? Mm-hmm. You need to, one, listen to them, and me, I'm, Arthur, I know you're looking at me, he's like, he says I'm so he's been telling me I'm hard-headed for fucking years, and that's true, I am, but sometimes I think that the hardest, the best lessons are sometimes the ones where you fail, you need to, fail to really take in something. Now, you need to find the people that are doing the things you want to do. You need to support them in any way you can, because the best thing you could give them is your time and your sweat equity. Mm-hmm. And then from there, all you could ever do is just, hope that one day you could pay them back, in any possible way you can. Like Arthur. Arthur and I have a long relationship. We've known each other since almost 10 years now, 2015, 2016. Yeah. So, what's it called? One of the things he always joked around with me about is that when at 10:30 I'm going to buy all his drinks at the bars. He's been saying that shit to me for like the past 5 years, 6 years. I don't fucking know. Well, he's saying I agreed to it.
You have agreed to it.
Whatever.
Okay.
I don't see it on paper. But anyways, yeah. So it's one of those things. It's like, boom. He says that recently. He said to me, I think the other day, he said to me, he's like, when you turn 40, you're going to buy all my dinners. And I said, you know what I told him? I said, dude, I'll buy you anything you want me to fucking buy you. Just make me richer. Just make me richer.
That's a good deal. That's a good deal.
The richer you make me, the more I can give you.
Yeah.
It's and it goes back to I can't pour out of an empty cup, but with a full cup I can give to as many cups as I possibly want to. Yeah. So yeah, association. As you get older, you need to be more careful about who you want to associate yourself around. If it doesn't work, here's the thing: if you don't start being selective about who you hang around, eventually you'll get worn out by it. Mm-hmm. And I think people change for two reasons: it's either because of trauma or by choice, and eventually one or the other will happen. So, and if not, then you're going to go down a route that's not favorable to anyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's association. So one of the most common phrases you'll often hear is that where you'll be in 5 years from now depends on the two things, right? The people you associate with and the books that you read, right? You learn the skills you need to take action on in the books you read, and you heighten the conversations that you're in with the association you hang around, right? Mm-hmm. So if you are, listening to the podcasts, you are effectively in association with us, with, a group of entrepreneurs here based in Delaware, Philly, New Jersey area, and you get to associate with us, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. So let's jump ship here. You can have association and you can hear all this stuff and you can have the rah, don't do this, don't do that. Like, hey, like, let's go, let's boom, boom, pow, like whatever it is.
Boom, boom, pow. You're going to get the second match. That's okay. All right.
So, but walk me through. So what book are you reading right now? Because I know you read a lot. I know a lot of reading is part of your daily routine.
Yeah. I've had this Amazon book reading list since 2017. It just has endless books that I want to read or have already read. I've been reading a book ever since that year. I'm not the type who sits around and reads 100 pages. I'll spend 5 minutes reading 5 pages. Yeah. Depending on how complicated the book is or how critical it is, I'll go 1 page at a time if I need to. The difference between me and leisure reading is I try to study my books. Okay. I don't just read them. One of the books I'm reading right now, just because this year I've been intrigued in politics a lot. One of the books I'm reading while I was in Boston that I picked up was The Book of Virtues by Benjamin Franklin. Okay. And it's for me it's a complicated read. So I'm reading it now the second time in a row. The second time around, and it's just he goes over the 10 virtues and all of what they are and how he came about them, and I think that's interesting to me. Another book that I'm working on is Alex Hormozi's newest sales book. I think it's called $100 Million Leads. Mm-hmm. I like him because he is very technical. with sales. Like he won't tell you things like, you need to call another person. Call again. Call 10 more. Call 100 more.
Like
call,
10x.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
do 10 times
which is
more.
Fine.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But if that's what you need. But that's not what I'm looking for. I need, what systems do I need to have in place to create a better CRM, to create a better relationship, what's it called, temperature, whatever it is, like things like that, how to, improve my pitch and stuff like that, how to better package my offers, stuff like that. And so that's why I like Alex Hormozy. That's technical with sales. Book of Virtues, very good on core on principles and core values. Those are the ones I'm mainly reading right now. I really don't read that many books at a time.
Okay.
I know some people sometimes read like 5, 10 to 10
Are you really
books
learning
in a month.
anything, or are you just flipping
Which is
pages?
fine. If you leisure read, that's fine. But that's just not what moves me. I try to implement the books I read into my life. One of the books that I would like to start reading is that was gifted to me years ago was what is it? The one that teaches you Simple Habits. Is that Simple Habits? No. What is it? Something Habits? Atomic Habits. Yeah, that's what it is. By who it is? Do you guys remember who it is? James Clear. Boom.
Great book.
I interviewed the CEO of a Carver Ties, I think 4 years ago. Yeah, 4 years ago. He's a University of Delaware grad. He started essentially the mobile the mobile advertisement billboard, which essentially is they put their business on your car and then you get paid for that. And he's scaled since, and now he's actually stationed now in the building next to the Planet Fitness over in the riverfront. And he told me about that book, and then funny, someone that was in there watching this interview ended up gifting me that book that Christmas. So that was pretty cool, and that's the book I want to start reading just because I want to get better at my habits.
Okay.
So yeah, those are some of the books I'm reading.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
it just depends on what season of life I'm in.
Okay, let's dig into that. So you mentioned that you read books to implement, you read books to study, right? So going back to your 4 core principles.
Philosophy too is another one. Sorry, I don't mean
Philosophy. Okay.
Yeah, I love philosophy.
So you're going back to your core. You're educating yourself, but you're not just educating. Do you sit down with a pen, pad, and paper? Are you a highlight guy? Are you a scribble on the margins guy?
So I think the best way you learn, and I was talking to Arthur about this earlier, because I want him leading one of the workshops coming up. Is the best. I think the best way to learn is in 3 phases. Is first you learn it, you apply it, and then you teach it.
Okay.
And
The Chinese proverb.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh shit! There you go. One of the things Ty Lopez says, "There's nothing new under the sun." There's nothing new under the sun. You're lucky if you go through life and you create 1 or 2 things. But yeah, there's nothing new in the sun, and there you go. That's proof of that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it really? See what I mean? There you go. So I'm a sponge. So yeah. So I'm sorry. That just caught me off guard.
That's okay.
So you were asking me.
Well, to hear is to know. To teach is to master. That's the.
Okay.
So okay. All right.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're saying just kind of figure out what works for yourself, right? And just do something.
Yes, and how I practice what I'm learning is through my, businesses or whatever you want to call it. So when it comes to when I do EPEX, right, I sell events. I sell personal development events, and that goes from all the way from event coordinating to sales, to logistics, and the whole 9 yards. I wear all the hats, and I try to delegate where I can, and that helps me with that. With the podcast, you learn also sales, a lot of recruiting, guests and stuff like that, and you just learn to apply all these different things. And when I read real estate books, I'm applying it to my real estate, and you apply, you try to master your craft. Now, some people may argue that I have too many crafts, which I would agree with, but that's just what I do. I just try to. I read what I need to learn to improve what I need to improve.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you mentioned crafts. Now I was personally around when the podcast first came out.
Yeah.
When the
Thank you.
first recordings happened and nobody knew about it. I went to the first EPEX event with you as well.
Thank
we
you.
were instrumental in getting all that up off the ground. So you mentioned, I mean, that we're talking 4 years ago at this point, and
Yeah.
of planning and organizing, getting everything
Yeah,
ready
yeah,
to go.
yeah.
You know, two years ago of taking action.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned this is the year of chaos. You mentioned having a lot of different hats. I would say 3 or 4 years ago, there was a shift that happened with you, you know, with COVID. So do you sense this chaos is going to elicit another shift? Do you sense
Yeah.
another shift coming?
Yeah. I would say so. That's a great question. When Arthur and I were flying back, he recommended, he suggested, he's like, hey, you should do politics.
Okay.
And I said to him, I'm like, well, first I was wondering if he was being sarcastic or not, because Arthur tends to be sarcastic.
I mean, you can just tell right away when Arthur's sarcastic.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, just the way the guy's a stud.
Yeah. So is the word preface? Is that the
Preface?
word?
Yeah,
preface.
preface.
I'll preface that with, you
I
know,
will preface.
that's where that's where I originally was going. ESL.
Shout out to the first podcast.
So yeah, 2020, the COVID,
The vid.
the 19. I was let go from my job because everybody was scared. There nobody was going out. And I had to adapt. Luckily, another job came about. But just in that happening, it made me realize how much little control I have,
Right.
and what happens in my life when it comes to career if someone else is,
in control of that.
in control
if
of that.
they
Yep.
are pulling the strings,
Yep.
they can cut the strings if they want to.
Yep. And while I had that new opportunity land, which I'm extremely thankful for,
Yeah.
I thought, is there more I could be doing? So I got into investing. I remember I downloaded the 2020. I downloaded the Thinkorswim app, which is an investing app from I forget what bank. It's called TD Bank. Yeah. So Thinkorswim, and you could do what's called paper trading, which is fake money, but you essentially could do trading and while the real market happens. So you learn skills and all that stuff like that, and then eventually I started, actually investing my money myself. I was already investing through something else before then, so I wasn't managing my money, but I had excess money. So I figured, you know what, let me actively do something myself. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
I had a great couple of years. I had a great couple of years, and then eventually I stopped because it was too much for me. Like
Too much time or too much
time.
emotional energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, there's it was too much time. Essentially, I figured I left it to someone who does it for a living.
Yeah.
And it's been that way ever since. But also at the same time, it was a booming economy.
Mm-hmm.
There was the pandemic, April of 2020. Everything was boom, plummeted
Down.
and then everything after that just boom, skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I mean,
Buy the dip.
even now, I mean, the markets are now closing at at higher numbers than
Yeah.
they ever have been. I mean, fucking Bitcoin just fucking hit
70K
today, right?
today. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when people would joke around back in the day, it's like, oh, Bitcoin 100,000, and then it hit 20,000, and then it hit 50,000 again, and then it's at 70,000. Now people are laughing less and less.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started making myself more valuable in the marketplace, to myself at least.
Shout out
And-
Jim Rohn. Where's my boy Troy at? There he is.
What about him?
Jim Rohn, that's his whole thing.
What?
Jim Rohn is you add value to the marketplace, and that's what you're compensated by.
Jeez,
Is
I really
the-
just
is
need
the-
to start reading everybody's
Is the
book.
value you're not paid a job because that's you. You're paid a job because that's the value that job provides to the marketplace. Every human
Fair.
being is valuable intrinsically. You're a human. You deserve respect. You deserve love. We just pray and hope that love and respect is reciprocated. And if it's not, that's a whole different story. But the value
Yeah.
in your income is based on the value that you provide to the marketplace.
I would agree.
So if you want to increase your income, you have to what, Troy? Increase your value to the marketplace.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Okay,
I
go
had
ahead.
3 shifts, I would say, from 2017 to 2020, where I had 2017, I was, in debt, no assets, no money, no nothing, in an apartment, struggling, yada, yada, light cut off, struggling, yada, yada. And then I figured out what I needed to do to, get out of that. So I was in a place of desperation. So I surrounded myself. Well, I met someone who essentially helped me turn around my life with that.
Yeah.
So that was stage, change 1. And then I went through the COVID change, right? When I realized, because, from 2017 to 2020, it's 3 years. A lot can happen in 3 years. And I built up a nest egg and all that stuff like that. And then 2020 happened. I started getting more creative with my money. I started making more money. And then I started investing more. Bought my first property. And then 2024 now, the more money I made, the more I started getting curious about what is impacting my money. What is impacting my money? And I started to realize, okay, what impacts your money? The economy, politicians, government, affairs, international affairs.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let me look more into that. You start studying people's policies and all that stuff like that. Who's in charge here? Who is making these decisions? Who is influencing all this stuff? And I got more curious, and that's when I learned that when you come to America, the best thing you could do, one, is learn the language. Two, excel in education so you could have a better paying job or create your own opportunity. Once you make some money, you can start investing in yourself, and then you dive into entrepreneurship, and then you make your own money, all that stuff. You start considering things like taxes and all that stuff like that, how to live a more strategic life. Yeah. And then for that, you start thinking about government. So you worry more about policies and all that stuff like that. So it's just the how do I say this? The mind just opens up to more and more and more questions, kind of like how philosophers do. Yeah. They just constant question. And so I bring it back to when Arthur told me, when he said, you should do politics. And I said, one, thank you, because I took that as a compliment. And two, I don't think I'll be interested in it. Reason being is because the only reason I care about politics is, one, is for impact. And it's for impact, and I forget what the other thing I said was, because when you go into bed with these politicians, there's a lot of things already set in place. There's already a behavior established, a way of doing things established, and all that stuff like that. And when someone, it's how I made the example to him was like, it's like a clique, right?
Boys club, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not there during the inception of that clique,
you're not in it.
Right, you're not in it. Even if they welcome you in open arms, the moment that you do something that's different or against the grain of that clique, boom, good luck. That's when canceling starts happening. That's when they start setting you up. That's when they start trying to ruin your life. So I thought to myself, where do I hold the most impact? The most impact and the least amount of enemies. And I thought to myself, it's just creating a valuable business. Creating a valuable business and just scaling that to the most I can, and as a result, just provide the most help I can in anything I care about and want to. So
when building the businesses that you're scaling and growing and working on and investing the time and energy and money and resources, oftentimes, not oftentimes, everybody will say that it's not necessarily what it is you're doing, it's how consistently you're doing it. Yeah. Right. Mm-hmm. So I sent you a picture earlier today that was in regards to consistency. Mm-hmm. And for the viewers, we're going to throw it up here and you'll get to see it. But it talks about what everybody thinks consistency is versus what consistency actually looks like. So I'll describe the picture, but you'll see it's right here. And his editing skills is going to be on point for this video. It's gonna be on point because if you upload this podcast, would you mind showing
me the picture again?
If you upload this podcast and I say the picture's right here and it's not, I look like the idiot. We can't do that.
I can never do that.
All right, so I'm gonna pull this picture up again.
Yeah, so I had to just pull up that picture. Yeah, right there. Yeah. So let me look at that again.
All right, there you go. Yeah. So the picture talks about what people think consistency is, and it shows about 7 cups. And the 7 cups are all filled to the brim every single day. Boom, 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 boom. And then it says what consistency actually is. Yeah. And it shows a cup at 90%, a cup at 20%, a cup at 60%, a cup at 10%, a cup at 80%, a cup at 50%, a cup at 100%, a cup at 10%. Yeah. How true is that? Is it more so about showing up and making steps every single day, or would you say that there is a level of intensity that needs to be there as well?
A level of intensity that needs to be there as well. So showing up every day and a level of intensity needs to be there. Okay. So I think if you're doing everything, some people might not like this, but I think if you're doing everything around in your life, as in like you're accomplishing everything. I don't think you're challenging yourself enough. But I also think that it also depends on how big you're dreaming,
Okay.
how big your vision is. Because the bigger it is, the more challenges it's going to come with, and as a result, that can just never be like that, right? Now, it's going to be a lot of ups and downs, as you showed me in the second image.
Yeah.
But as long as you do that consistently, you'll find that in the projection it'll actually be positive. So it's a matter of just showing up, knowing exactly what it is you're pursuing, and being willing to see it for the long term. Like, I don't commit to anything I wouldn't do for 5 years, and at least now. And if I don't see that with it, I don't waste my time with it.
Okay.
Right. And in 5 years, you typically start seeing results. And if you see no results, then one, is it really something I'm really, I don't know if the right word is passionate, but something I'm serious about?
Or is it a hobby?
Or is it just not actually as valuable as I think it is?
Okay.
Because you could think you have something really good,
Yeah.
but if the marketplace after 5 years tells you is not good,
Yeah.
then it's probably not good, right?
Yeah.
So you should probably move on to the next thing. But hey, as an entrepreneur, you only need to be right once.
Right.
So you only need to be right once. So, what is it? The KFC guy, what's his name again?
Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, him.
Shout out
He
to
was
Wicked.
like rejected how many times before he finally got a yes? I don't freaking know. Like it was like hundreds, right? It was like hundreds. Yeah. So yeah, one, what Troy said, he didn't start his business until he was 50 something. So one, it's never too late to start your business. The best time to plant a tree was the best time to plant a tree was yesterday. The second time the best to plant a tree is today. And two, keep going at it. Don't give up. And if it's not what it is, then like this podcast is try. And if it doesn't go the way you thought it, well, at least you tried. A lot of people don't have the courage or the balls to really just
Try.
try.
Try and fail.
And as I said earlier, just take the first step.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, last question.
Last question. We're having fun.
Throughout consistency here. Oh, you're gonna have a ball with this one. Everybody wants to be at 100% intensity. And when they have a bad day, the important factor is that they didn't go from a cup that went from 40% to 20% to 10% to nothing. Mm-hmm. The important thing is that they bounced back. Mm-hmm. So for the viewers, how does Emilio bounce back? Because I remember when you hosted me on my first podcast, you were remarking about a horrible day you had. Oh my gosh, the car battery's dead, the tire's flat, the computer's dead, the mics are broken, So I mean that's a year and a half ago now at this point.
Yeah. I almost canceled our recording that night.
Almost canceled the recording. Life was terrible. Life's going horrible.
Or so it felt like.
Or so it felt like.
Yeah.
Looking back now, it's almost as if your baseline has gone up. Mm-hmm. What is nothing to you now would devastate you 2 or 3 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. So how do you bounce back? And how can somebody getting out there and doing stuff, how can they adapt the same systems to bounce back? Got him.
Tom Sachs, an artist, he was talking about the hero's journey. And one of the things he says is, it won't fail because of me. Which I take it as, I'm so stubborn and losing and giving up in the things I really care about. Like, I don't know. You would have to fucking kill me for me to ever give up.
Gosh.
It's just, I feel like I just can't be stopped.
Okay.
I just feel like
a
I
bull
can't.
in a China, what's it called? Bull in a China house or whatever? China factory?
Okay.
Shop. China shop.
Yeah.
Bull in a China shop.
I don't care. If I want something and if I really want it, I'll go after it. You bounce back. If you don't bounce back, that says something about your character. Because bounce back is what, right? Is you endured that whether it's downfall, challenge, or whatever it is. And on the other side of that, as I said earlier, on the other side of failure is some sort of success. Mm-hmm. So, one, I'm about to say something that I probably shouldn't say, just because it's something I keep within myself. If I don't like somebody, or I do like somebody, and they do something that annoys me or that upsets me or they backstab me, one thing I will never do to someone that turns into my enemy, I will never tell them their flaws. I will never tell them where they're going wrong. Reason being is because personally, for me, if you tell me that, what I'm going to do is turn that into my strengths and then come back around and fuck you.
I want to make a comment.
Tell me I can't do something, and that's the worst thing you could do. That's
Okay.
the worst thing you could do. Tell me I can't do something and watch me do it. That's really it.
I don't think you can.
I could put a high enough stool and just jump up. Now next thing you know, I'm dunking.
there you go. There you go. Touche. Bring the net down.
You didn't say how.
Touche.
You didn't say how. Someone
I don't
said I
know.
can't dunk. My buddy Tyler said I can't dunk. He didn't say how. I'll just put up a stool high enough so I could dunk it. There you go.
See. Entrepreneurs think of solutions to everything.
Yeah, I think you're the part of the problem, part of the solution, right?
Ooh,
You gotta
so
just-
there's no in between.
See, yeah, I don't think there's
Okay.
in between. I think in life, I think the people who try to play the middle eventually are just gonna be doomed to conflict all the time.
Okay.
All the time. If you constantly play the middle, I get that there could be rights to both sides and wrongs to both sides. But I think that realistically, someone is always more right than the other. And by default, there's always one person that's ultimately right. So someone that always plays the middle, what I think is that they don't understand themselves enough to pick a side.
Okay.
And I also think that says a lot about their life. Because what kind of life are they guiding if they don't really know what side they're on? Who are you? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Who do you want to be with? What do you want to do?
Right.
So-
If you don't know where you're going, how can you set the boundaries? How can you follow the road?
Exactly.
And how can you put systems in place, take actions
Right.
to make it happen?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, he just winked at me.
That's a great place to end, folks.
You don't have an HR department, do you?
I mean, I could spin around real quick and we could chat.
All right.
So
Never coming on this podcast again.
Well, thank you so much for that. Definitely a lot of granular ideas, and when it comes to growth, when it comes to focus, when it comes to bounce back and consistency, association, books, a lot of business and technical research, a lot of technical aspects to today. If you're not already following or commenting, definitely jump in the comments, jump on them, share this with folks you know that can take away something that you took away. And if you haven't already hit the notification bell, definitely do that so you can be notified when we release the new reels. Because if you haven't seen the reels, the editor does a phenomenal job with
shout out that guy.
making them happen, making them work. And it just gets you excited and fired up for what's to come. So
Should we see if the audience has any questions?
no,
No, you're the boss. All right,
No.
all right.
Do you guys have any questions? Say no. Troy, get out. I got a question for you. All right, what's up, Troy?
Just reiterate the question for so the mic picks it up. No, he's fine. No, he's gonna repeat the question. Yeah.
Emilio mentioned he has a daily organizational spreadsheet that he's been using for the last 3 years, a tracking spreadsheet. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, the question from the audience is in regards to your time blocking Excel sheet that keeps you organized throughout the day.
Yeah. So I call it my high performance tracker. How I go about it is it's based on the things I want to improve in my life and the things I have to do in my life. And I base them on a urgency matrix, aka the time management matrix from the book that you're currently reading. The 7 Highly Habits, or what's that book again? By
The
Stephen
7 highly
Covey?
effective habits.
Yeah.
The 7 habits of highly successful people by
Yeah,
Stephen
that
Covey.
one by Stephen Covey. That's what I use, and I base it on whether it's important, not important, urgent, whatever it is, like the four matrix. the 4-quadrant matrix, and I just based it off that. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years, and it allows me not only to work on my time management, but also I have my own twist to it where I track how much time it's going to take, how much time I think it's going to take, how much time it actually took, and then the difference, which allows me to see, whether or not I'm taking too much time with it, whether I'm overstating how long I really think it takes. And then another twist to it I do is, what pillar of my life is this affecting? And then what I do is at the end of the week, man, I should be charging for this. What I do at the end of the week is that all compiles back to a summary sheet, and it tells me where all my time went to, how much of that time went to it, how much of the things did I really accomplish that I set out to accomplish. And then based on that, I create the following week. And I just keep going and going. And then after 3 years, you'll find that the compound effect kicks in and you become a high performance person. So yeah, that's my answer. Does that answer your question? Yes, for 9 payments of $1,000. Hey, and it's all right if you don't have the money for it. We have credit cards, so. No, I'm happy to share it. And while I'm here, guys, I'm starting a little. God, it's gonna be. Oh, he's starting something else. I'm taking the time now after I built, some time and experience on sharing this knowledge through consulting. And whatever it is, whether it's business, you'll find that a lot of things in business you could copy and paste in just any business, and it's just little smaller details. I built a lot of projects and a lot of different endeavors that has allowed me to prove that there's almost a proven formula, if not just a copy and paste formula that you could build on your own system. Happy to book a call with you.
Drop in the
do pro bono.
comments, send us a DM on
EPC.
Instagram so we can.
EPC, Emilio Pastor Consulting.
Yeah, you will see that Instagram page coming up this year, 2024. We are actively working on just the background, the panel. Of course, we've got EP podcasts plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to make sure that we're just trying to make sure that the icons are all set up for you.
Yeah.
Tyler, is this about dunking? Because we already know we can't.
Dunkin' Donuts? Oh.
Hey, yo.
Oh. Huh?
Questions in regards to where EPEX is going to be held
Are
this
you
year.
referring? Okay, so I think you're talking about the Summer Summit. The Summer Summit is the big event, the Super Bowl event that we hold every year. Is the biggest event. So throughout the year, we hold events that embody all the pillars that we believe leads to a fulfilling life. The biggest one being the Summer Summit, which consists of all the pillars and strengthening those pillars. And the events this year, I think we're going to take it back home. We might end up in Lewis, or at some beach nearby, just to kind of bring the roots back in. Last year we did it in Tampa, Florida. It was a good time. But I think we're going back home this year. So, yeah, more details on that. I could keep you updated on that. So,
If you don't already follow the official EPEX account, please follow our Instagram account.
Yeah. We're cultivating the leaders of tomorrow.
Anybody else have a question, a comment, concern, a funny story, or maybe a joke for us? Kind of lighten the mood. Okay. So we're talking about if you tell Emilio that he can't do something, he gets fired up about it.
That's why that was said.
I just
it
heard.
It wasn't said because I actually can't cook. It was because, okay.
Just heard that Emilio
see.
can't cook. Breaking news. Put this in a reel. Emilio cannot cook, Put Gordon Ramsay in it. Don't worry. We'll give you a cut. Paid promotion.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. You know what?
The second you say you can cook, I'm coming over. I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
All right.
I plead the fifth. Well,
and then, of course, it would not be an official EPEX if we didn't do business on an event or a business on something important. And of course, today is International Women's Day. So who better to interview than Emilio himself? Because it's actually his
man
birthday.
of the women.
So happy birthday to Emilio
Thank you
here today. He's turning the ripe old age of 53, believe it or not. The hair is doing great.
I thank my collagen.
There you go. Collagen for the win. For the win. For the win.
Thank you so much, Ian,
Absolutely.
for doing
It's
this.
a pleasure.
I appreciate
and,
you.
Look forward to having you on again.
Thank you. All right, cool. Yeah. No, space bar.